Testing 1 2. Mic check. Test 1 2. Shake the camera when you get the captions. Testing 1 2. Mic check. Test 1 2. Testing 1 2. Cool.
Okay, Megan, doing sound check for you. Okay. Sound check, 1, 2, 3.
One more time.
Checking the mic to make sure that it works so that everyone can hear all of the talking. Okay, great. All right, I'm going to turn it off for another
I guess so.
They could have been civil servants.
It's mine now. When you use it as a skateboard. Yeah.
We have humming. We have humming noise. No, I'm hearing. Oh, hi. How are you? Oh, we have noise from the background. What is that? Is it outside? It is outside. Yeah. At a time like this?
You're not supposed to stop that, right?
No.
Document is important. Oh my God.
Leave it to you, Bob. You know me. All right, we're gonna start. Good afternoon, everyone. And happy summer. We've just about come to the end of it. I can't believe it. Okay, I digress. We're gonna dive right into our stated agenda. First, we'll vote on the following finance items. A preconsidered resolution sponsored by Councilmember Justin Brannan would establish a new 40-year Article 11 tax exemption for 14 4- and 5-story buildings in the districts of Councilmembers De La Rosa, Dinowitz, Sanchez, Feliz, Stevens, and Salamanca. And a preconsidered resolution also sponsored by Councilmember Brannan approving the new designation and changes in the designation of certain organizations to receive funding in the expense budget. Next, we'll vote on the following land use items. 47 Hall Street rezoning will facilitate the redevelopment of a site containing 10 existing buildings in Councilmember Hudson's district. The proposed redevelopment will include both new construction and renovation to provide approximately 611 housing units, with approximately a quarter of the units being permanently affordable under MIH Option 1. It will also include over 280,000 square feet of commercial space and up to 60 accessory parking spaces. 347 Flushing Avenue will amend the zoning map to bring an existing commercial building into zoning compliance in Councilmember Ressler's district. 236 Gold Street rezoning will facilitate the development of a new 14-story mixed-use residential and commercial building with approximately 114 housing units, 29 of which will be permanently affordable under MIH Option 1, also in Councilmember Ressler's district. 42-11 30th Avenue rezoning will facilitate the redevelopment of a site containing an existing 1-story grocery store in Councilmember Caban's district. The new 5-story mixed-use residential and commercial building will provide approximately 28 housing units, up to 8 of which will be permanently income restricted under MIH Options 1 or 3. It would also include additional commercial floor space for the store. An application to facilitate the redevelopment and enlargement of Lenox Hill Hospital in Councilmember Powers' district, which has served the city since 1869. It will include 475 single-bed patient rooms, modernized operating rooms, and other clinical spaces, and the creation of needed ambulance bays, which will allow the hospital to provide optimal patient care. The modified proposal reflects years of community input and includes changes to reduce the maximum building height. As part of the project, the hospital will make significant investments to the southbound entrance of the 77th Street subway station, including for ADA accessibility. And the Midtown South Mixed-Use Plan, which is the largest residential neighborhood rezoning in 2 decades and will deliver nearly 10,000 units of housing, over 2,800 of which will be permanently affordable in Councilmember Bottcher and Powers districts. Through negotiation on the rezoning, the council secured over $448 million in economic development investments to support the garment district's fashion and garment industry, as well as community benefits and infrastructure improvements to the Midtown South area. New Yorkers are facing a citywide housing crisis, which we all know, and we must confront it by advancing housing solutions and creating more homes with a focus on affordability. We're proud to pass another historic rezoning today that builds on our successful record. I now invite Councilmember Bottcher. There you are. to the podium to speak about this rezoning in his district, and we will hear from Councilmember Powers as well after I outline his legislation that is also being voted on today. Councilmember Bottcher.
Thank you very much, Speaker Adams. So we identified the fact that in Midtown Manhattan, there's whole swaths of area that don't permit any residential development at all. There's swaths of Midtown that don't permit new housing. And one of the most transit-dense areas of the country. So we have been working the last year and a half collectively with our community on a rezoning to fix that and permit residential uses in Midtown Manhattan, but 30% of the new housing must be permanently affordable. So today, we are delivering over 9,500 units of housing with over 2,800 permanently affordable homes right in Midtown. And a key priority of ours was to achieve this rezoning while also not harming the garment industry in the garment district. And we've achieved that with a series of zoning protections and $122 million in investments in programs to invest in that industry. And a new brand, Midtown Made, with a new one-stop shop website and a new campaign to help support the garment industry. We've also won some incredible investments in public space in our district. Broadway Vision, Broadway from 21st Street under 42nd Street is going to be transformed into a grand pedestrian plaza that will rival those of Barcelona and Paris, with the streets being raised up to sidewalk levels, with kids first play districts, areas for passive and active recreation, public art. It's going to be the town square for this neighborhood, this Midtown neighborhood that will accommodate tens of thousands of new residents. We were able to win a 34th Street car-free busway. Huge achievement. We did a race last week, Councilmember Powers and I. Councilmember Powers was on the bus. I walked. I won by 7 minutes. Okay? That's not cool. So we're fixing that. 34th Street will be a car-free busway, allowing New Yorkers to get across town quickly. We've won millions and millions of dollars of investments in local parks, schools, infrastructure, landmark protections for historically significant buildings in the district. I want to thank Speaker Adams and her team for their leadership. When I joined the City Council in 2022, one of my true hopes was that we would be a council that generated large amounts of housing and addressed our housing crisis. And that's what we've done under the speakership of Speaker Adams again and again and again, and we're going to continue doing so to address the affordable housing crisis. I want to thank the Land Use Committee, everyone who made this possible. This is what addressing the housing crisis means, actually producing huge amounts of affordable housing, 2,800 units. We're voting on it today. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Today, we will also vote on the following pieces of legislation. Introduction 998A, sponsored by Councilmember Keith Powers, would codify New York City's cooling center program, requiring the Commissioner of the New York City Office of Emergency Management to designate cooling center locations where there is a heat-related emergency, and the designation of at least 7 cooling centers per 100,000 residents. The determinations of where to locate cooling centers would be required to consider factors such as areas where vulnerable vulnerable populations reside. The bill would also require NYSEM to provide information on how the public can submit feedback about their experiences at cooling centers or report on any challenges accessing them. I now invite Councilmember Powers to the podium to discuss his bill and his land use action. You got a lot to talk
I can
about.
do a lot. I can do it all. Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have three things we're doing today that I'm really proud of. As mentioned, we're voting on a bill that would help codify and to expand the city's cooling center program. Honestly, anybody who's spent a day in New York City recently knows how hot it has been, and for many of our vulnerable populations here in the city, it's really important that we have good and functioning and well-resourced cooling centers. So our bill will actually codify the program and make sure that there is a good allotment all over the city so that no neighborhood, no community is left out of having access to the really important, sometimes life-saving cooling centers. We're also voting on the modernization of Lenox Hill Hospital in my district, which has been a 6+ year process of ensuring that we can modernize a really critical, important hospital in my district, while also making sure we can make changes to address many of the community's concerns, like construction timeline and impact on that neighborhood. And we will be bringing that to a vote as well. And as Councilmember Bottcher and the Speaker mentioned, we have a big plan here for Midtown South moving forward, which is the results of years of work together and with our borough president and this council staff to modernize and to move forward a new housing plan to make sure that Midtown South, which, believe it or not, you can't live in today, is actually a neighborhood that can become 24/7 and become a residential community. We're solving three things at the same time. We're solving a housing crisis in this city with 10,000 new units, with 3,000 affordable units. We are solving a crisis around our commercial office buildings, which need help, and there will be obviously many that will come forward to convert, while also making sure that we protect and invest in the fashion and garment industry, which is so critical for the city's economy, and in this area is home to so many of those businesses. I just want to say that we started in a great place because we had Councilmember Bottcher, Borough President Levine, and I was proud to join them to say we want to do this. We want to make sure we modernize Midtown South and bring housing there. That was an important first step, but the rest of the steps were challenging. And to get to a place where we can save and invest in the fashion industry, expand our transportation options, address the commercial vacancy crisis, and address all the different hurdles, utilize new state allowances to build more density in places like Midtown. To me, that is a great success. I want to give Councilmember Bottcher a lot of credit. We had to go to the very end of this process to make sure we could get the investments in the fashion industry and the garment industry to save and protect them. And that does not happen without Councilmember Bottcher's demands to stay at the table until the very end. So I want to give him a lot of credit. I think he has his measuring tape from earlier somewhere, but has earned it. And to everyone and the staff here at the City Council as well for helping us fight to the very end to get what we want. And finally, as mentioned, as a bus rider on that M34 constantly, there is no reason, no offense, I feel like Eric Bottcher is probably a fast walker, but there's no reason Eric Bottcher should be able to walk faster than the bus in New York City, or anyone. But losing by 7 minutes was pretty embarrassing, so I'm really excited by the ability to move forward a bold transportation plan for the core of Manhattan here as well. I want to congratulate Councilmember Bottcher and very much looking forward to seeing it happen today. Thank you so much.
Stuff. Okay, Resolution 986, sponsored by Councilmember Crystal Hudson, would recognize August 14th, 2025 as the 90th anniversary of Social Security and commemorate August 14th annually as Social Security Day in the city of New York. Introduction 1056A, sponsored by Councilmember Hudson, would require physicians and nurses employed or contracted with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene and working in public schools through the Office of School Health to complete annual competency training on health concerns related to sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, and sex characteristics. I invite Councilmember Hudson and her platform to the podium to discuss her legislation.
Thank you. Let me get my platform here.
Leave it there.
Anybody is welcome to use it, by the way. It's here for all. Good afternoon, and thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to speak about Introduction 1056, which this body is voting on today. Despite serving 915,000 children, our city's public school system does not currently have any requirement in place to ensure that medical personnel, like school nurses or physicians, have training in the unique needs of LGBTQIA+ kids. When young queer people have access to healthcare professionals who understand and affirm their identities, they're less likely to experience severe mental health challenges and more likely to receive care that directly meets their needs. Intro 1056 would require physicians and nurses employed by or contracted with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene who work in public schools to complete an annual LGBTQIA+ competency training, which would focus on health concerns for the community, like information related to gender-affirming healthcare and a list of referrals and resources to help medical personnel connect students with such care. This bill came out of the LGBTQIA+ caucus's policy agenda to address concerns that school personnel were unfamiliar with new developments facing LGBTQIA+ medical care. I'd like to thank the many of the groups working with queer young people, including the Ali Forney Center, Transformative Schools, VNS Health, NICLU, who helped improve and support this legislation, and also want to wish everybody a happy Social Security Day. Today is the 90th anniversary of Social Security, and at a time when Trump and his administration are trying to dismantle resources like Social Security, it's that much more important for the City Council to stand up and make clear that today, August 14th, in perpetuity in New York City, will be Social Security Day. Thank you.
You can leave it there. I'm
Okay.
sure. Karen, are you going to need this too? You-
There you go. I'll stand.
I know my members.
Yeah. You can use it too.
I can use it too? Okay, I'm good. Okay. All right. Next, we will vote on several bills to provide information on patient rights for transgender individuals. Introduction 628A, sponsored by Public Advocate Jumaane Williams, would require the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene to design signs describing the rights of transgender patients, including information on an individual's right to be referred to by their preferred name, title, gender, and pronoun, and to make such signs available to hospitals in the city. DOHMH would also be required to coordinate with hospitals to identify the services offered to meet the specific needs of transgender individuals, including gender-affirming health care. Introduction 629A, also sponsored by the Public Advocate Williams, would require the DOHMH Commissioner to report annually on training provided by hospitals to medical staff regarding medical care for transgender individuals. I invite the Public Advocate, who we consider him still our neighbor upstairs in City Council with all these bills he's passing lately, to the podium to discuss his legislation.
I'm gonna use this. No, I want to get taller.
There you go. You're welcome.
Yeah, I gotta go try out. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing good work.
Anytime.
I like this height. Eric, this is a good height, man.
You can see the stars up there.
Peace and blessing, love and light to everyone. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for your leadership on all of these issues. And while we have a really divisive president who's helped by conservative media and lawmakers doing their best to deny communities, and in particular for these bills, deny transgender communities rights to serve, to play, frankly, even to exist, to access the gender-affirming medical care they deserve. Across the country, trans New Yorkers are facing preventable obstacles to basic equitable health care here in New York, and we want to try our best to fix it. As the federal government targets the trans community, it's essential that local governments enhance protections committed to justice, inclusivity, and equity. I'm hoping that we start to learn the lessons of the importance of local government to protect from these kind of horrific things that are being done. The trans community deserves equitable access to health services, be able to receive the treatment without fear of discrimination or the burden of education and explanation. While we fight the bigotry of the federal government against TG and CB Americans, we have an obligation to do what we can here at home to confront the inadequacies that stem from implicit bias and explicit lack of training on transgender issues. So we introduced these bills about 3 years ago after hearing stories from the community, stories that denied their rights and their humanity. And I think what we're learning now is more acutely than we may have wanted to is that all of our rights and all of our protections are interconnected. And so I'm very thankful that the Speaker and the Council took up these bills. In a healthcare setting, especially in emergency, you shouldn't have to be trying to educate folks at the same time you need emergency care. That's a big burden and a barrier for some. And we have heard from transgender New Yorkers who simply won't go to the doctor, won't go get health care for fear of being mistreated. And we want to make sure that ends. And so I'm very excited about these bills. Intro 628 required DOHMH to distribute and post signs on an individual's right to be referred by a name, a title, gender, and pronoun in city hospitals, and listed conspicuously, and also post transgender-specific services in facilities on its website. Also coordinate with hospitals to identify the services offered by any such hospitals to meet the specific needs of transgender individuals. Important note, this particular bill doesn't require any specific services. It just tries to illuminate services that are available so people can feel comfortable. This is a Bill of Rights that is to encourage self-advocacy by posting existing rights. Really, it's the baseline for entry to get the services that are needed. And Intro 629 will require DOHMH to report on training provided by hospitals to staff on care for trans and gender nonconforming persons and provide a summary of the information included in any such training. Culturally responsive care is not a new idea or it's not a luxury, it's a need. We don't need to add burdens or barriers for trans New Yorkers, for any New Yorkers seeking healthcare services. It's all about equity and accessibility. And as I have been saying, I always want to make sure I come with my own identities. And so as a black man, a Caribbean man, a person of faith, I am honest. About 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't be the person leading on these bills, but it is important that we share our journeys and our growth because we need everyone to step up now to make sure that everyone is protected. If some groups are not protected, that means no one is protected. And so I'm proud to be leading on these bills. I want to thank the Speaker and my staff, who I'll speak about in the Council, for pushing me, and I'm trying to make sure everybody pushes past their comfort so that we're all protected. You don't have to let go of your faith. You don't have to let go of your culture. You should ask questions, but you have to lead by love, and it should be making sure that everyone is protected and has the ability to love, laugh, and live in their true self. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will vote on several bills to improve the safety of child care programs. This legislation is especially important after the death of one-year-old Nicholas Dominici from a fentanyl overdose at a daycare center in the Bronx. Nicholas's parents, Zayula Dominici and Otoniel Feliz, are here with us today. And we realize that the tragic loss of a child is something that no parents or family should ever experience. Our hearts are still with you. As a council, we remain committed to ensuring the safety of our children, and we thank you for your fierce advocacy and partnership on these important bills. Resolution 563B, sponsored by Councilmember Pierina Sanchez, would call upon the New York State Assembly to pass and the governor to sign S 6225A 3899A, which would tighten regulations, enhance inspections, and provide training and resources to daycare providers and parents to ensure the safety of children in daycare homes, programs, and facilities across New York State. Introduction 1041A, sponsored by Councilmember Sanchez, would require DOHMH to conduct an annual outreach campaign to inform parents and legal guardians about their rights regarding their children in child care programs in New York City. And Introduction 1042A, also sponsored by Councilmember Sanchez, would require DOHMH to report annually on training provided to their employees who inspect child care programs. I invite Councilmember Sanchez, who I know this legislation is near and dear to her heart, to the podium to discuss her important bills today.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Nearly 2 years have passed since the heartbreaking loss of one-year-old Nicholas Feliz Dominici, a radiant, joyful child whose life was stolen by fentanyl exposure in a licensed daycare facility. Nicholas should be here today. His parents, Zoila and Otoniel, did everything right. They placed their trust in a system that should have protected their son. But that trust was betrayed, and their family's world was shattered forever. The depth of their pain is unimaginable, and our entire city continues to mourn alongside with them. Today's passage of Intros 1041 and 1042 is rooted in the courage of Nicholas's family. It's born out of their willingness to turn their unimaginable grief into action to keep other children safe. Intro 1041 will ensure that parents are informed of their rights in daycare facilities. Zoila and Otoniel had the right to enter and inspect Nicholas's daycare, and they were denied that right. Intro 1042 will require public reporting on the training provided to child care inspectors, strengthening both oversight and transparency. Excuse me. These are steps toward a future where no family has to endure such a tragedy. Because there is still more to do, today we are also passing Resolution 563 of 2024, which calls on the state legislature to pass and the governor to sign my colleagues' bills, A3899 by Assemblymember George Alvarez and Senate Bill 6225 by Senator Gustavo Rivera. Critical legislation to further strengthen daycare center inspections, improve provider training, and enhance transparency for families. I thank you, Speaker Adams, for moving these pieces of legislation forward, for championing these measures. And I also want to thank District Attorney Darcel Clark in the Bronx and the attorneys of the U.S. Southern District, whose prosecutorial work has together resulted already in 100 years of prison time for the depraved criminals responsible in this case. But our work is far from finished. We must bring more federal, state, and city resources to confront the devastating violence and illegal drug trade that claimed Nicholas's life, who would be 4 this December, just a few months older than my own son. The West Bronx Community Safety Partnership, which I founded in Nicholas's honor last year and will secure millions to fight on behalf of our community, was founded in honor of Nicholas Feliz Dominici. And it reminds us that we are bound together in the fight for safety and justice. Nicholas's light will never fade. In his memory and in solidarity with his family, we will keep working until every child is safe and no parent has to bear this kind of loss ever again. Thank you, Speaker.
Introduction 422A, sponsored by Councilmember Carlina Rivera, would require the Office of Technology and Innovation to create a rooftop activity category on the city's 311 website and 311 mobile device application. And Introduction 1100A, sponsored by Councilmember Carlina Rivera, would require the Department of Social Services to amend eligibility criteria to include any period of time detained in a city jail, state prison, or residential mental health treatment facility as time a person has been homeless for the purposes of qualifying for an existing supportive housing program administered and wholly funded by the city. Supportive housing remains one of the most effective solutions to provide stability for people facing a range of challenges, yet these barriers to eligibility for justice-involved New Yorkers has limited their access. This bill is a step towards removing these barriers to housing that is a stabilizing force to make our city safer and ensure more successful re-entry from the justice system. I invite Councilmember Rivera to the podium to discuss her legislation.
Thank you so much, everyone. First, let me just talk briefly about securing rooftop safety. In 2021, we actually had multiple deaths in my district from people falling to their death from their rooftops. And we are trying our best to ensure that while in New York City, we love being outside in al fresco, that we also are ensuring everyone's safety and that there is accountability across residential and commercial buildings. So this would use technology and city services to ensure that we're keeping track of any challenges or problems. Again, good afternoon. I want to thank Speaker Adams always for her leadership and the continued commitment, specifically in terms of access to affordable housing and criminal justice reform. The bill that we're passing today, Intro 1100, is a simple, powerful change that can help break the cycle of homelessness and incarceration for thousands of New Yorkers. Right now, if you're homeless and you're sent to Rikers, a state prison, or a court-ordered mental facility, that time doesn't count towards your homeless history for supportive housing eligibility. The clock resets, even if you were living on the street the day before you were detained, or if you have nowhere to go when you're released. Instead of getting stable housing and care, too many are pushed back into shelters or on the streets. That's why with CSH, the Supportive Housing Network of New York, Fortune Society, and New Yorkers with lived experience, I crafted a bill that requires that time spent in jail, state prisons, or court-ordered mental health facilities counts towards the homelessness history requirement for city-funded supportive housing if the person was homeless before and will likely be homeless after release. This bill is targeted, it's evidence-based, and it applies only to supportive housing programs that are fully funded by the city and that require both a diagnosis of serious mental illness or substance use disorder and those who have a history of homelessness. The facts are clear. Homelessness is 10 times more common among formerly incarcerated people than the general public. 1/3 of individuals admitted to New York City jails last year were unhoused before incarceration, and nearly 70% of people on Rikers who could benefit from supportive housing are shut out because of the chronic homelessness definition. So imagine if you are someone trying to stabilize your life and being told you're not homeless enough. It costs over $500,000 a year to incarcerate someone, but supportive housing saves public dollars, and we all know that it changes lives. We have a responsibility to recognize incarceration as a form of housing instability and to remove the systemic barriers that keep people trapped in a vicious cycle of jail, homelessness, and back again. This bill makes sure that when individuals leave, they can access the housing and services they need to stabilize, instead of returning to the conditions that led them to jail in the first place. I want to thank my colleagues for their support and, of course, the legislative team. I also want to thank Eddie Amador, my legislative director. I have passed 44 local laws. This will be my 44th bill, mostly on housing and mostly on criminal justice. And this is a really great intersection of both on an issue that's a simple policy change that's going to really make a difference. So I want to thank you, Eddie, and I want to thank the Speaker for your leadership on this issue.
Okay. And before we conclude, I do want to discuss the veto messages we're receiving from the mayor at today's stated meeting. There were the two bills that the mayor vetoed yesterday, Introduction 1133A and Introduction 1135A, which would establish minimum pay standards and protections for grocery delivery workers. Late last month, the mayor also vetoed Introduction 47B, which would end criminal misdemeanor penalties for street vendors. These vetoes, once again, demonstrate how the mayor is failing to serve New Yorkers and the public interest since administration, his own administration, recommended these bills, negotiated them, and supported their passage during the entire legislative process. As Donald Trump's horrific attacks on our immigrant communities continue, it is critical that we prevent and reduce unnecessary interactions with the criminal justice system that can leave New Yorkers exposed to ICE. Introduction 47B fulfilled a recommendation of the administration's own Street Vendor Advisory Board to codify the shift in street vendor enforcement from using criminal charges to civil charges and fines. And the council accepted all of the administration's requested changes. With the vast majority of street vendors being immigrants and 80% of criminal enforcement disproportionately being borne by Black and Latino New Yorkers, Introduction 47B is essential to keeping communities safe and preventing people from facing the barriers to education, employment, housing, and immigration status caused by criminal records. The mayor's claim that this prevents any enforcement of street vending rules is inaccurate, as civil offenses and fines do remain. But unnecessarily criminalizing New Yorkers for pursuing economic opportunity only hurts our city. And if we think about the vendor that is selling apples and oranges Just think about it. The mayor's veto is yet another example of advancing Donald Trump's agenda instead of serving New Yorkers. Introductions 1133A and 1135A are a part of the council's third phase in advancing a sustainable delivery sector for our city. They would extend the same wage and workplace protections food delivery workers currently enjoy to grocery delivery workers. They are central to the businesses that are a fast-growing part of the delivery sector. Major parts of these bills, here we go again, were recommended by the mayor's own report. His administration testified in support of them and enthusiastically commended the council for advancing them. Why are we here? These bills are about protecting working-class New Yorkers from the exploitation of poverty wages as a result of businesses treating workers as independent contractors. Mayor Adams chose to side with corporate special interests over workers and the nearly 20,000 working people these laws would protect. It was just reported that on Instagram's quarterly earnings call, its executives told shareholders, are we ready for this? It was increasing profits by, quote, squeezing workers. With these vetoes, Mayor Adams is facilitating the exploitation of workers in our city. The mayor's actions tell us that he believes these hardworking New Yorkers should continue being paid poverty wages and leave them reliant on public assistance, and that they don't even deserve access to bathrooms. It is disgraceful. Despite ongoing efforts to deceive the public, these bills do not increase the cost of groceries, because this is about delivery services. Any decision to increase or tack on additional delivery fees, which the corporations control, is about padding their own profits and not about the cost of groceries. Be not deceived. By not paying workers a minimum standard wage, these corporations and Mayor Adams, by extension, are forcing them to rely on public assistance and tips, costs that are passed on to customers and other New Yorkers. We must be clear. This is a fight between equity and exploitation. This council has chosen the side of equity for workers, while the mayor has chosen to fuel their exploitation. The mayor's vetoes are anti-worker and anti-working class, aligning him once again with Donald Trump's agenda. He cannot claim to care about working-class New Yorkers or establishing a sustainable delivery sector, while also blocking fair wages and protections for the workers who make this sector possible. The hypocrisy of his claims are on full display for all to see. Time and time again, the mayor is showing he is not governing for the people of this city. Our council always will step up to protect New Yorkers and put their interests first. There is no New York City without our workers, and their labor must be valued. They deserve to live with dignity, opportunity, and safety, despite what our historically unpopular mayor believes. And while our women majority, historically diverse city council will fight to make sure of it, because we know workers are the backbone of our city. When workers thrive, so do our communities in our city. I'm so proud to support these bills, and we look forward to overriding the mayor's senseless anti-worker vetoes in the coming weeks yet again. That does conclude our stated agenda. And with that, we'll take on topic questions on the bills that we're voting on and the vetoes we're accepting.
Yes, we'll move on topic first on the vetoes and the bills. Are there any questions after that?
Why do you think the mayor, I mean, was he lobbied by Instacart, or like, why did he change his mind on this?
Jeff, you're the journalist. You're supposed to have the intel for us. You tell us why. Seriously, I don't know. I don't know. It boggles the mind when this council continues to work, and you all know this as journalists, that we work with the administration on the legislation that we pass for over 8 million New Yorkers. The administration was for this legislation until they were not a few days ago. So we don't understand what happened. We will continue to fight for workers in the city.
Speaker, in light of daycare, we see that the Trump administration wants to actually prevent undocumented children from signing up for Head Start.
Is this on topic?
Well, no, I thought.
The bills
Go ahead.
and the vetoes. We'll come back.
So you mentioned that this is part of, that the bills that he vetoed were part of the third phase of the council's efforts. Can you elaborate a little on that? Are there more than 3 phases?
Sure, we'll catch you up. We have passed legislation that have already taken care of our app delivery service providers, our fast food providers. This is the final phase in that series, and including the grocery delivery workers. Yeah.
Thank you. I was just wondering if you can go into a little bit on what the timing is going to be on these overrides, how soon the council will actually act on that. And if I may, while on the topic of vetoes, the council opted not to override the Bally's veto. Can you just explain a little bit what the thinking was there and why you let that veto stand?
Sure. With the Bally's situation, the council did not have an appetite to continue in the process of override or to begin a process of override. We don't have the final say-so. So it didn't make any sense for us to go forward to fight on that. As far as the override process, we're going to try to do this as quickly as we can, so stay tuned. Yeah.
Does that mean September 10th stated meeting, or is it potential, or would you potentially convene members earlier than that?
More than likely the September timeframe. Yeah.
Any other on topic on the vetoes or the bills? Okay, I'm going to give members a chance to split. They've been saying it for a while.
Or not.
I'm staying for this. On topic, Bob. Stand right next to him.
Speaker, parents are looking towards the fall to make plans. We understand the Trump administration wants to prevent undocumented children from participating in Head Start. Will that have the effect from your experience of forcing, I don't know, there's a lot of illegal daycare centers. Will this force these families to seek those? And also, are you concerned about what this means in terms of further tearing the social fabric of the city of New York?
Wow. Bob, you posed such great questions and things that we actually have to take into consideration. This administration is intent on harming not just the, adults of the city and the nation, but also the children, obviously, when it comes to childcare, when it comes to food, when it comes to a lot of other things as well. We are, and we've said this, in weeks and months prior, that we have to take each day with this administration as it comes, because we never know what's around the corner. As far as childcare for the children of the city of New York, this council is going to do what we always have done, and that is going to be to continue to fight for the children, documented or undocumented. We are going to hope that that parents do not, hide their children or keep their children from coming into the school system where they are safe. And once again, we are a women majority council, so we are going to continue, and the men that get it, we're going to continue, to fight for the children and our families.
Across the street here at 26 Federal Plaza, Judge Kaplan ordered the Justice Department and ICE to, I guess they're kind of running an illegal detention center. Since land use is so clearly in the city council's purview, is there anything that you can do? Because it appears that, like if it was across the street Broadway and some private landlord wanted to say, we're going to hold people here overnight, there would be some course. Is there anything you can do to force code enforcement so that the judge's order is maintained?
That is something that we would have to get back to you on. As far as I can see, that would not be something in the council's jurisdiction.
On the rider's law, the bill that would outlaw horse carriages in New York City, are there plans to hold a hearing on that, and if not, why?
We are still taking a look at doing that. We know that this bill has been, with us for a time. It is a very complex issue, as you know, Chris, and we are still working through this, speaking to lots of entities when it comes to the legislation, when it comes to the industry itself, which also has to be considered. So it's going through the legislative process. That is always our answer when it comes to bills that we are continuing to work with.
So no commitment at this time for a hearing?
At this time, we are continuing to work through the process.
Any other questions? Jeff, finish us off.
What do you think of the mayor's push to expand involuntary commitment to those with drug addiction? Have you had a chance to read up on this yet?
I have not. I heard about it kind of passing on New York One, and that is all I heard. So we'll have to take a look at it and figure out what it's all about. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Is Carlina Rivera resigning? And do you want to say some words about it?
I love Carlina Rivera. We started in this council together, and I'm sure at her time she will inform you of her plans. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Of course.